Indian arms exports are set to skyrocket quite literally. India is set to arm Armenia with its most fearsome quasi-ballistic missile to help it win the next war with Azerbaijan. The news is sure to rattle Turkey's Erdogan as well as Azerbaijani President Aliyev, who had previously warned India and France against helping Armenia. According to reports, Indian Defence Ministry has approved the sale of the Pralay quasi-ballistic missile to the Caucasus nation. Now, this will make Armenia the first customer of the Indian Pralay missile. The nod from the Indian Ministry of Defence to export the Pralay to Armenia was given on the 17th of October. Manufactured by India's Defence Research and Development Organisation, or the DRDO, the Pralay missile export deal, if secured, will bolster India's image from the world's biggest arms importer to a major global defence exporter as well. Defence sources have been quoted in the media saying that India, which is Armenia's largest defence supplier, is ready to supply these missiles to a friendly nation. India has taken an active stance in boosting Armenia's defense, as Yerevan fears another invasion by Azerbaijan, backed by Turkey, to completely subjugate the ancient nation. To comply with international arms control regulations, India has limited export versions of its Pralay missile to a maximum range of 300 kilometers and a payload capacity of not more than 500 kilograms, an issue which had been a hurdle in this deal so far. The discussion on transferring these missiles to Armenia began in July this year, but received a setback due to legal and technological export constraints. India since then has been actively pursuing a process to adapt technical modifications needed in the Pralay system, along with adhering to missile technology control guidelines considered crucial for its export. Yerevan's latest acquisition comes in the backdrop of Azerbaijani President Aliyev's warning, who seemed rattled with Armenia's recent defense purchases from India and France. Aliyev had warned, quote, "Countries arming Armenia should be aware that they will be held directly responsible for the outcomes," unquote. But it seems it may be Azerbaijan which faces consequences if it dares to attack Armenia one more time. The irony is that Baku continues to arm itself with Turkish as well as Israeli weapons for offensive purposes, but protests when Armenia takes a stand and a similar step to defend its own borders from Azeri aggression. So why is Armenia eyeing the Indian Pralay missile? Armenia considers India's first homegrown quasi-ballistic missile, the Pralay, crucial for its national defense against Azerbaijan. The Nagorno-Karabakh dispute is still simmering despite Armenian defeat in 2020. Despite post-war negotiations aimed at primarily and permanently ending the 3 decades of hostilities between Armenia and Azerbaijan, both sides continue to accuse each other of undermining the peace process. Delays in concluding the peace negotiations between the South Caucasus nations, coupled with persisting unresolved territorial and political disputes, maintain a high risk of unilateral Azeri military actions and aggression. India's Pralay missile will be used by Armenia to counterbalance the capabilities of LoRa, or long-range artillery missiles developed by Israeli aerospace industries, which has been bought by Azerbaijan. Armenia sees India's state-of-the-art Pralay an upgrade on the LoRa. Pralay has a restricted range of 300 to 500 kilometers compared to LoRa's 400 kilometers. Manufactured by India for deployment along the line of actual control with China and line of control against Pakistan, the Pralay missile is nearly impossible to intercept due to a combination of factors like high-speed, quasi-ballistic trajectory and terminal maneuvering. In a demonstration of its capabilities, India even test-fired the Pralay missile successfully in November last year. Pralay is powered by a solid propellant rocket motor and can also be fired from a mobile launcher, making it impossible to predict. It can also carry a warhead with payload of 350 to 700 kilograms and avoid interceptor missiles with a strike range of 150 to 500 kilometers. The short-range ballistic surface-to-surface missile has already given more firepower and heft to Indian Army's war-fighting capabilities along the LAC with China. The Pralay is often compared to Russia's Iskander-M missile, as both have similar accuracy of around 10 meters CEP and capacity to release decoys to frustrate the enemy's air defense system. So why is India arming Armenia in this conflict with Azerbaijan? Armenia has emerged as India's biggest arms importer in 2023-24. Meanwhile, Azerbaijan is increasingly dependent on Turkey and Pakistan for arms imports. which are India's prime geopolitical adversaries. Azerbaijan also signed a multi-billion-dollar deal and has inducted Pakistani JF-17 fighter jets in its air force. Foreign ministers of Azerbaijan, Turkey and Pakistan had also met in 2021 in Islamabad and issued a joint declaration on several issues, which included Kashmir, which angered India. New Delhi does not tolerate any interference in its own internal affairs and then decided to help Armenia against this axis of trio. Hence, India, wary of Baku's posture, has been open to exporting its world-beating artillery, the ATAGs, with a range of 48 kilometers to Armenia, as well as Pinaka Mk1 multiple launch rocket systems, which have also been exported, along with homegrown Akash anti-air or air defense systems to Armenia. Yerevan also bought Swathi weapon locating radars from India, as well as Zen anti-drone system to counter the threat from the Turkish Baykar drones in Azerbaijan's military. Have your say. Should India continue to arm Armenia and boost its national defense against Azerbaijan? Leave a comment with your opinion and subscribe to Inconnect News for more defense updates and geopolitics.